was by this guy named Ewen Cameron. Have you heard that name before?
No.
Cameron? Okay, Ewen Cameron. He is a psychiatrist up in Montreal in Canada, working at what's called the Allen Memorial Institute. And Gottlieb wanted to expand MKUltra besides drugs because he already had a lot of people doing drug experiments. So he wanted to see if there were psychological techniques that could be used to manipulate a person. So not just in an interrogation, but can we actually control a person's personality? Can we make them behave in certain ways, make them do something? So the idea that Ewen Cameron had come up with before the CIA is involved, I should mention, Ewen Cameron is a behaviorist. So he thinks that all behavior is a result of nurture, not nature. So it's the environmental input that causes a person to behave a certain way. And he thought that if you could bring a person back down to a blank slate, remove all the environmental inputs that have been put into them, and then you can build them back up in your image into whatever you want them to be. So his idea to bring someone down to the blank slate was to induce enough stress that they forgot who they formerly were. And so you reduce them to the blank slate, and then the CIA is really interested in, if you could do that, then you could form them into whatever. So Ewen Cameron, his main goal is to try to figure out what can induce enough stress in a person to bring them down to that blank slate. And so Ewen Cameron rewinded that on the tape that he was recording and made her listen back to it and said, hey, I want you to listen back to what you say your mother used to say to you. When he rewinded the tape and played it forward, as soon as the woman was kind of quoting her mother and she listened to that herself on the tape, she recoiled. And Cameron thought, oh, you have a negative reaction to that. So he rewinded again and again and again. And he kept rewinding it. And she just got more and more emotional, had this more and more kind of visceral reaction to what she was saying her mother used to tell her. So this led Cameron to develop the concept of psychic driving, which is you record some kind of negative message and then you make someone listen to it for thousands and thousands and thousands of times for weeks on end, for hours every day. All their waking day, they basically are strapped into a headphone that is playing this negative message, and it will break them down over time. That's how you induce enough stress to break them down to the blank slate. And then you can record a positive psychic driving message to build them up into whatever image you want them to be. Oh, no, for the most part, the people who he did his practice on came out way worse than when they went in. So psychic driving, that's initially what got the CIA interested in Cameron. So it's important to keep in mind, it's not that the CIA told Cameron to do this. He's doing this on his own because he thinks he's going to cure mental illness by having this radical breakthrough where we break them down and build them back up, and we can build them back up and make them forget their schizophrenia or depression or whatever they have. The CIA reads his article about psychic driving, and they think this is the kind of thing we're interested in. So from that point on, they start funding him not only to do psychic driving experiments, but also he does puts people in chemical comas for months on end.